All right, Carolina coming in here. Obviously, a opponent that we have great respect for. We've played them quite a bit in the last couple of years. Somebody that we have some familiarity with, and it's always a great challenge. They have a great front. They got great backers. Their front seven is, probably again as good as we're going to face. So we have to be right. Any questions?
Pete had mentioned that looking back, he feels like you guys probably should have run the ball a little bit more last week. Did you come away with the same assessment?
Yeah, we did. Because we were doing some good things in the run game. Particularly with, how Russ was playing in the game. He rushed for 80 yards. So we thought there were some opportunities there that we might be able to take advantage of.
What kind of got away with that a little bit as the game went on?
Well, I think our mentality right now is, we're trying to be aggressive. So maybe we were trying to be a little bit too aggressive, and kind of. There's a lot of conversations that's going on the sideline and some communication there that we have, and we just kind of were getting caught up in the game and trying to get certain things to happen, and they weren't quite happening the right way. So just kind of lost track of everything.
When you go down 14-0 like that, does that kind of put you even in that mentality a little bit more? Like we got to get back.
Well, we're not trying to make any bold statements at that point. When you're down 14-0, but yeah, there's a little urgency, to obviously move down the field and put some good drives together. There was 3 opportunities I think where we got close into scoring zone, and we turned it over all 3 of those times. So that's something that we haven't done in the past, and I think could have really changed the game there. When we're getting even if they were getting field goals in those opportunities. We got to make sure that we do what we normally do and hang on to the football, and I think that could have been different.
How did you feel like the receivers played in that game?
I think the receivers playing fine. I think what happened a little bit is the game kind of sped up a little bit. Particularly sped up for Russell a little bit because obviously we were having some protection issues, and so there was some timing issues that of course end up taking place after that happens.
How much did the game or your play calls change when you saw the pressure and it wasn't subsiding?
Yeah, well, they change all the time. According to who we're playing and how the game's going. There's things that we try to do to help, different guys, different styles of protections. We were moving in and out of those, trying to give help where we could give help. The one thing is you don't want to ever get stuck in one protection because then they can just really attack that protection. So you're trying to move that around a little bit and help where we could.
You mentioned Russell running the ball. Now that you've done that and shown that you can do it, will that help maybe open things up in the run game for other guys? The teams are going to have to respect that more.
Well, it makes them worry about it. I don't know how much it's going to affect them or not, but it's definitely an element that we haven't had, and it's an element that they'll have to respect now that they can, that they've seen it now and they know that he's about back to where he can be effective in that run game, and so they have to account for it.
How did you see them defending that Sunday?
How did I see him defending it?
Yeah, Pete said something to the effect of it didn't seem like they were paying much attention to Russell and the read option.
Yeah, again, it might have been a little element of surprise for him because Russell hasn't, had a lot of carries and hasn't pulled it very much during the, up to this point because of, health issues and that kind of thing. And I think it just showed that he's back, and so that might have surprised him a little bit. And to go for 80 yards on whatever it was, just a few carries, he was having a good day there.
It seemed like Tampa was putting a premium on stopping the short passing game.
Well, I think you just have to give Tampa credit overall. They had a great game plan. They did a nice job. They were given some different looks. They were trying to change things up. Their pass rush was outstanding. That's really I think where it started and what gave us more trouble than anything. And then we weren't able to kind of get that straight really throughout the whole game. We made some plays. There was a lot of near misses really in the game. There was quite a few of those that we just didn't make some of those plays.
How would you kind of look at the 2 interceptions?
Well, the first one at the end of the half, he's expecting something a little bit different to happen. We got knocked off on our route a little bit, and then the last one at the end of the game, he's trying to make a play, and I think there was still a little bit more time left. I don't know if he needed to quite force one in there yet, but he was trying to make something happen.
How does Carolina's defense look different without Josh Allen?
I still think it's a pretty stingy defense. Up front is really where it starts for those guys. I think all 4 of their front 4 is playing great. Their backer's amazing. 58's. Tom's all over the place. He's running around. He's hitting people. I think he's playing as good as ever. The corners, I guess that's where you would talk. They have 2 rookies that are out there that are starting, so that's the first place that you look. But I don't think it's shown up, that big of a factor because of how well they're doing in the front. they're getting good pressure. I think they're one of the top teams in the league in sacks, and it's not just one guy. It's really all of those guys.
How viable did Farmer look like he might be able to third down back to the post today?
Yeah, he did some nice things. He did some nice things, and he's coming along well in the protection game and knowing what he's doing. Obviously, he looks good, running and catching. That's kind of where we thought he would look good. So, just kind of bring him along a little bit more each and every week.
Russell, go ahead.
I was going to say, Thomas got every tailback carry in that game. You want to try to mix in Alice Collins or whoever else a little bit more?
Well, we're trying to get Thomas going. He's our guy, and coming into the week, he's a little bit more banged up after the first game, but he still felt good enough to go. I like where he's at today. He's feeling better than he did last week, but we're just, you need those running backs need to get some carries and to kind of start getting a feel for for their feet, getting a feel for how the combinations are hitting inside, and I think it's good for him to get all those looks right now. He's really early in his preseason. It's like his third preseason game. So I think that's something important for him to continue to get those looks.
Russell's dealt with protection issues at various times in the past. Do you feel like the pressure affected him more in this game than it usually does?
Well, he got sacked 6 times, and he got sacked second play of the game, and then rushed out of there the third play of the game, So I'm not going to say that doesn't affect the quarterback, but I think he was doing a good job of keeping his eyes down the field. It wasn't like he missed open receivers or anything. I think he was doing a good job keeping his eyes downfield. I think he was moving where he needed to move. But pressure is pressure. It's gonna make you move around and do some different things.
You mentioned to us right after the game, maybe I need to get the ball out quicker again. How much need to be emphasizing that now after that?
Well, Greg, it kind of goes like the style. We kind of, it keeps going back and forth. We can get the ball out of our hand immediately and go back to almost being like we're in a shell and getting 3 and 4 yards and then putting a premium on third down, which we didn't convert in that game. We were 1 of 11, so that didn't help us in that area. So we can keep, you can keep dinking and dunking it, but at some point you're going to have to make those important plays. Well, the last few games, we're going first down, second down, first down, second down. We're getting big chunk plays, and I think that's a better way to play. But obviously, the protection is going to be at a premium, and you have to be able to handle that. And it's different types of throws and different types of down and distances can help you do some of those things. How the run game's going can also help you determine how you're doing that. But I don't think you just want to go to 1.2 second ball out every play. But although you do have to do that sometimes as well.
You guys are going with Sal this week at right tackle. How do you feel like you need to settle on a 5 here in the next couple of weeks as you really get down the stretch?
We're just trying to find the best 5 guys. We're working those guys. We're letting them all compete. Tom's doing a great job of moving around, giving each and all those guys opportunities. I know the guys that are behind there that are competing. They want those opportunities and they want that chance to know that, hey, that through competition I can get up there, and that's what we preach all the time. So we're going to continue to let that happen. If it changes every week, then it changes every week. But we're going to try to get the best 5 guys up there for us.
Going back to Carolina's front 7, what makes them so good?
They have good players. Stars up there and Shorts up there. Those guys, I think is where it starts right there. The 2 big guys on the inside. They can get good pressure off the edge, and their linebackers can run and hit.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.